So today I'm going to give you a basic introduction to a word that we've been throwing around a lot, but we haven't really defined, and that word is a function. And before I talk to you about what exactly a function is, I need to tell you about two other words that we haven't talked about yet. The first one is the domain. The second is the range. So throughout this unit, we've called x values, of course, just an x. We've called y values just a y. We've also referred to x values as an independent variable, and we referred to y values as your dependent variable. Well, now we're going to throw in another word. You know how we math people love to give different names for exactly the same stuff. The domain is all of your x values. The range is all of your y values. A good way to keep those from getting mixed up is that D obviously comes in the alphabet before R for range. X comes in the alphabet before Y. So that can help you to keep straight that the domain is all of your x values. The range is all of your y values. So let me give you a concrete example so I can show you what I'm talking about. So I've got two different tables here. So let's say I was asked to say, what is the domain of this particular data set? Well, I would simply write all of my x values. So I can see right here in my column, I've got I've got a 0, a 1, a 2, and a 3. And we usually put a little bracket. My brackets really stink, so don't use mine as a model. And our range is all of our y values. So in this case, we've got a 1, a 3, a 5, and a 7. So the domain is all of our x values. The range is all of our y values. So if you want to try this one at home really quickly, might want to pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and work it though. The domain is 0, 1, 2, and 3 because those are all my x values. My range is 6, 7, 8, and 9 because those are all of my y values. Occasionally, actually not occasionally, this happens pretty frequently, in a data set they repeat certain values in x and y. And so the domain, I'm just going to write out here, it's also not given to me in order from least to greatest, and that is normally how you see it written. So I'm going to write out my domain here. So here I've got a -6, a -3, then a 5, 6, and 7, because we do normally write it in order from least to greatest. Okay, for my range, all of my y values this time, you notice I've got a repeat here. I've got 2 2s, and then I've also got 2 4s. When we are writing the domain and the range, we do not repeat those values when we're putting them in our list. So when I'm writing the range, I'm simply going to write my -2. Then my next biggest number is a 2, but I'm only going to write it one time because the definition is list all of your y values, so I don't need to list it twice. Then, of course, my 4, which I'm only going to list one time, and then my 6. So I've got a list of my domain, which is all of my x values, and my range, which is all of my y values. And I've got more in my domain because, well, actually, I think I might have left one out. -6, -3. I sure did. I left out a 2 up here. Sorry about that, guys at home. So I've got more pieces of information in the domain than I do in the range because some of my values in my range repeated. And when you're writing out a list, you don't have to repeat them in your list. So that 4, I only wrote once in my list for my range. Those 2s, I only wrote once. So you try this one now really quickly. Tell me what the domain and the range is for this particular set of values. You might want to pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and work it. So I'm going to write mine in order from least to greatest again. So I've got a -5 in my x values, followed by a -3, followed by a -1. And then there are 2 1s, but I'm only going to write that once, and then 3. So those are all my x values. My y values go in my range, and the smallest is a -4, it appears. Then I've got a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. So I've got more numbers written in my range list than in my domain list because I had these 2 1s that repeated, and I only write them once in my domain. So again, to recap, domain is all of your x values, the range is all of your y values, If you're asked to list the domain and range and you have any repeated values like I do here, you only write them once.